is Madison Clark and I'm a criminal justice major. For my cultural discomfort zone project, I decided to do something kind of geared more towards my major. So I decided to look into finding out a little more about the Black Lives Matters movement, not only here on campus but also in Weld County. So I took it a little step further and went over to the Weld County DA's office, where I talked to some of the prosecutors about how the Black Lives Matter movement plays a role in prosecuting some of the cases here in Weld County. I was also fortunate enough to sit down with one of a fellow student. She's actually in a master's program right now, and talk to her a little bit about how she was involved in a protest here on campus. It was a great opportunity, and I'm super excited to tell you guys. To start off, I think it's really important to lay out a timeline of all the time and effort I put into completing this project. So the first couple weeks were really slow, just because I had to email and get dates set and everything put together so that I could go ahead and start my project. So on March 23rd, I met with Talia Davis, and she is the coordinator. She's the main person over at the Marcus Garvey Cultural Center here on campus. That was a 45 minute meeting in which she showed me around the cultural center, because I've never been there before. We also sat down and kind of talked a little bit about my project, and she was actually able to put me in touch with somebody who was a student. Her name was Jasmine Houston, and she was part of the Black Lives Matter protest here on campus, so that was really awesome. So I met with Jasmine Houston, the student, on March 24th at around 2 o'clock, and we met for about an hour and 15 minutes to kind of discuss what's important to her and why she was a part of the protest and what the protest was for, which I thought was really good to get an insight from a student here on campus. And then I think on March 27th, I believe it was, I met with Nicole Packes, and she is a DA at the Weld County DA's office. We were able to sit down and talk about her experience with the Black Lives Matter movement when she's prosecuting cases, as well as just kind of an overall talking about law, and it was a great opportunity. Throughout this project, I spent countless hours of research on the computer, just trying to familiarize myself with the Black Lives Matters movement, and getting a really good insight and feel on what exactly the organization is trying to do. I found 3 inward key results to my project. So the first one would be, when I was doing my research, I found myself getting really angry. I come from a law enforcement background, and blaming police officers for excessive force is really something that was really hard for me to take in because of my background. I also found that I was pretty biased, because my dad was a police officer, and so I kind of side with my dad. And another thing is, I was really nervous when I was going into this project, because I didn't know exactly how everything was going to lay out and how everything was going to go. I was then able to find my 3 outward key results from this project. The first one was the physical and social part of the outward investigation, which kind of tied back together. I went to the Marcus Garvey Cultural Center. That was my first time being there. I felt like I was the minority. Everybody kind of knew each other. Everybody was of African American descent, and it was a great opportunity, and just something that really threw me out of my comfort zone. And then the last one was human behavior, and I noticed in my project that Jasmine and I actually didn't have the same views on certain things, and so we both kind of got defensive. And I know the topic is very controversial, so I thought that was really interesting. The key insight from my interview for me had to have been that I needed to keep an open mind. Her and I didn't agree on all of the things, but it was really important for me to keep an open mind so that I could understand where she was coming from. To kind of wrap things up here, my overall takeaway from this whole project was that it was so important to throw me out of my comfort zone, because I like to stay in that little bubble, but I think it's so important for personal growth and experience to be able to get out there in something that you're not comfortable doing and give it your all and find out that the thing that you were so scared of doing isn't so scary, and that it's super important to be able to open your mind and open your thoughts and everything else. I hope you really enjoyed my project.